Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day like I am. Like you said, my name's Gav Blaxberg, and I run a company called Wolf Financial, and my full-time job is hosting Twitter Spaces. I know it sounds crazy. Who hosts Twitter Spaces full-time, especially with a banking background? I used to work at Goldman Sachs. I helped manage $5.5 billion for uber-rich people. Then I went to a private equity firm, but I fell in love with what you could do on social media, and I found that there was way more opportunity to be had. During the past 2 years, I've worked with over 100 Web3 companies, helping them advertise and monetize through Twitter Spaces to reach retail investors. Right now, I currently host the largest monetized Twitter Spaces on Twitter about 40 hours a week. So today, I put together a little presentation with some of the stuff that I've learned because I came from a traditional finance background. I used to sit there looking at financials and spreadsheets, and then I came into Web3 and I saw this rise of companies, but I realized that they weren't so different, that there's a lot that translates from traditional finance to the Web3 world. So I went ahead and put together some of my thoughts on how you can use traditional equity methods to evaluate Web3 companies, specifically if you're looking to invest and make some profits. Let's hop into it with 10 questions that'll solve all your NFT due diligence thoughts. All right. Number one is, of course, starting with the problem. This is a question that I always ask. Why does the company exist? No. What is the problem that they are solving, right? I don't need you to come up with another thing for the world. I need you to solve a problem that already exists. And this is something that I throw at every company. It's even more powerful to me than what tangible value they provide. That's why companies that are doing crazy things today are succeeding. Why does Tesla succeed? They didn't start by saying, we're going to create this. They said, we're going to solve the problem of renewable energy. That's a major problem. Our planet cannot continue to go down this path. We are going to solve that problem. And that's where it came from. It was a decade-long journey to get where they are now. Look at Apple, look at Google. They all solve a problem. Connectivity, thought research, and many more. And the best startups now, the billion-dollar startups, solve problems. So that's where I always start by asking people what problem they solve. If they can't tell me that and it's not a unique problem, I'm not interested. Number two, I lead that right into the tangible value. You can be solving a problem while not really adding value. It's kind of a funny thought. People will solve a problem, but somebody else already solved it, right? They already did something. So what are you doing new? What's a tangible value that allows me to say, all right, I'm going to take my hard-earned money, I'm going to put it behind this person, but not just because they're solving a problem or they have a great idea. They're creating tangible value. In the stock market, this is exactly what we look for, right? We look for companies that are providing earnings, revenue, EBITDA. All these things translate over to the Web3 world. You want to start digging into financials and you want to start looking through balance sheets, cash flow statements. Just because it's Web3 doesn't mean these things don't exist. So that's where I start with tangible value. And then on the user's end, I want to be getting tangible value. Think about how many projects came out. We're trying to sell something for hundreds of dollars and had nothing behind it that the user actually got besides riding the train of hype. We call that greater fools theory in the stock market, right? I am buying a stock or I'm buying a crypto simply because there is a greater fool than I that will buy it at a higher price. That's not a good way to live your life investing. You want to look for something that is delivering tangible value, and that way you can say, I'm buying this right now because in 3 years, the value that they delivered will make sure that the market cap or the value of this company will continue to increase. Rolling into this one, I kind of put two together. And this is just, I think, one of the most important things when it comes to any company. And ask any fundamental investor, where do you start? With the governance. Because it all, at the end of the day, comes down to people. And this was a huge thing that I actually learned working in private wealth management. Why are we sitting there, right? And honestly, in private wealth management, so the minimum client is $10 million liquid net worth. And when we're talking with them, we're not actually usually making the trades. Goldman Sachs has a whole different division called GSAM that actually researches and makes the trades. Why are we there? We are the people. We represent the firm. They get on the phone with us and they believe in Goldman Sachs because they talk to us, right? And we give them the answers that they want to hear. Same thing when it comes to any company. I want to start top down, looking at the governance. I want to speak with leaders that inspire me. I want to talk to people that have visionary ideas. I keep using Tesla, and I'll roll back to it with Elon Musk because I am obviously on Twitter a lot of times. He actually, I had a conversation with Elon a couple months ago. He came on our Twitter space for an hour. I got to pick his brain on all different types of thoughts with Tesla, with Twitter. Tesla stock actually went up 3% during our Twitter space from stuff that we talked about. It was pretty crazy. But what I'm starting with there is always look into the team, look into their background. I like to work with accomplished people. When a founder brings me a project, it can be great. It can be solving a problem. It can be adding tangible value. But what have they done before? Why are they the right person to lead it? Just because someone comes up with an idea doesn't mean that they're always the right person to lead it. Some of the most effective and efficient startups in the world were created by someone, and then another person came in as CEO and made it actually work. Great example, there's a company called ServiceNow. They have massive contracts, started by a very, very smart tech guy. Actually got laid off from a firm. He was a CTO at a firm. And he's like, I have this great idea for this revolutionary company. It's going to do billions of dollars in business. And it was going nowhere. And it was starting to trickle down. And he realized that he wasn't the right person to lead it. Brought in another CEO. Company now does $6.9 billion in revenue a year, right? Sometimes you have to make sure that the leadership knows themselves and that they understand who's the right person to lead the company. I've seen this multiple times. I've worked at several companies, startups. Sometimes you have to have turnover. At the end of the day, the people leading the company are going to make or break everything, and you have to do your research into them just as much as you do it into the product. Don't work with sketchy people with bad backgrounds. Take it to heart. You only get to pick who you work with so many times before people won't trust you. Roll into the next one. I love throwing out the C word. It gets overused, but community is, of course, what brings us all together. It kind of connects us at conferences and other areas. I'm a big fan of having a powerful community. I love my community. I have 162,500 followers on Twitter, a bunch more on other platforms, and I engage with them regularly on a daily basis, and I've formulated that community from zero. I sit on Twitter Spaces for 40 hours a week talking to them. I answer every single DM that comes in. I actually had to hire a team because there were so many DMs. We usually interact with 2,000 to 3,000 people a week in the DMs, right? We are engaging with our community. If you have a founder and they never talk to the community, or they talk to them once a month and they can't be bothered to actually engage with the people that care about their vision and their product, it's not for me, to be honest. I like leaders that engage with the community and have thought about how the community is going to be developed. It can be a Discord, it can be a number of other ways. All right, I got to move through this a little bit faster. We're talking NFTs for a second here. This one's kind of a little bit more different nowadays. I think there's a lot of range. Just have an understanding. If someone's making a 10,000 person project, can they deliver to 10,000 people that same type of value? It always extrapolates. I call this the equity side of things. When you have someone offering a new shelf offering in the stock market and they're dishing out a whole bunch of new shares, think about how that's going to affect the stock. Does it go down? Is it worth it? Is there enough to spread the love? Roadmap and website, super, super clear. I think where these mean have someone who has vision, not copying someone else. Take someone's actual website, drop it into Google and see if they just copied it from someone else. Go through the specific lines, see if they have unique ideas, what's coming, and then look at the past. Have they actually delivered on the website up to that past? I think that that is a rather important factor. And then lastly, I've got two more pieces. The brands and partnerships. This is, of course, a massive piece when it comes to it. Trust others' due diligence as well, right? When I work with a company, the first thing I do is, who else have you worked with? Then I go to them and I get testimonials, I get insights, and so much more. It really allows me to build the full picture. And lastly, I love me a patent. Try to find companies that have patentable technology. That's where I find it really scales. Unless you can patent something, I find it very difficult to raise investment at the end of the day. And of course, that is a huge part of taking your company off the ground. I got to wrap up here. This was super, super fun. I hope you all enjoyed, took a little bit of something away. Feel free to connect with me. Drop me a DM at wolf_financial on Twitter. 40 hours of Twitter Spaces a week. It's been a pleasure chatting with you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.